SCP-5017, The Hollow Choir, When Spines Start to Sing. Part 1. The Bones That Sang. The recording begins with a rhythmic, pulsating hum, low, like something vibrating deep within the earth. No wind, no footsteps, just the hum. It was recovered from the abandoned salt mine, Vaguin, located in the remote Carpathian range of Romania. The mine had been closed since 1956, following a collapse. But the Foundation's report tells another story. Field Agent Ilinka Voicu, investigating reports of choral moaning from the sealed shaft, led the initial expedition. Inside, the tunnel descended into a spiraling cavity. Salt crusted the walls, but something far more unnatural coated the floors. Fragments of vertebrae, polished and carved like ivory pipes. And they were warm. Further in, the team found what they first mistook for an ossuary, until the bones began to shift. A human spine, removed from its body but still animate, slithered across the ground like a segmented snake. It emitted a hollow, breathless sound, as if it were exhaling a melody through marrow. The rest of the expedition did not survive. Only Voicu returned, bloodied, shaking, and partially deaf. Her medical scan showed microscopic fissures in her spinal column, resonating like tuning forks. She could no longer speak, not because her vocal cords were damaged, they were untouched, but because her cervical vertebrae vibrated every time she opened her mouth, producing a sound only dogs and deep-sea microphones could detect. And she was humming in her sleep. Part 2. The Harmony in Bone. Following the incident in Romania, SCP-5017's anomalous materials were transferred to Bioacoustic Research Wing D, located at Site 41, under tight quarantine protocol. The remains included 6 isolated vertebrae, SCP-5017-1 through 6, still emitting low-frequency vibrations. 1 full-length human spinal column, SCP-5017-A, animate and unresponsive to sedatives. Audio recordings labeled The Whisper Canticles. Initial analysis revealed that SCP-5017's songs were not random. They adhered to a strict, repeating structure. But unlike traditional music, this structure mapped to human spinal anatomy, using frequency to stimulate nerves in precise patterns. The head of the experiment, Dr. Hayao Fujimura, coined the term neuromusical transfection, the process by which the body becomes a listening instrument, not through ears, but through bone. The first test subject was a D class with no prior musical knowledge. A sterilized fragment of SCP-5017-1 was implanted near his thoracic vertebrae under anesthesia. For 2 hours, silence. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the D-class stood up, body rigid. He tilted his head backward at an impossible angle. From deep within his chest came a chord, no vocal cords involved, like a choir underwater, layered in disharmonic waves. Security footage shows the subject convulsing, arms outstretched, spine visibly expanding and elongating, vertebrae glowing faintly red beneath the skin. 10 seconds later, the test chamber exploded. Post-incident autopsy found every bone in his body had hollowed, reshaped from the inside out like wind instruments. His ribcage had fused into a resonating chamber. Most disturbingly, his skull was missing, but a dense coil of spinal tissue had grown upward. A reverse spine, blooming where the head once was. The sound did not stop with death. Even in the morgue, the spinal growth hummed faintly, continuing the melody alone. Part 3. Contagion through Echo. 2 days after the fatal incident in Wing D, containment protocols were reclassified to Level 4. But it was already too late. Staff across Site-41 began reporting symptoms. Initially benign, tension in the back, random muscle spasms, or dreams filled with dissonant music. Then came the resonance. Dr. Lena Murray, assistant xenoneurologist, was found standing in the hallway outside Lab D. Her spine was arched back unnaturally, arms limp at her side. Humming a 3-tone melody. Her mouth was closed, her jaw fused shut. The sound came from within her body, vibrating through cartilage and bone. She collapsed minutes later. Autopsy revealed microscopic calcified threads weaving through her spinal nerves, forming tiny vocal chambers inside the vertebrae. Whatever SCP-5017 was, it was learning to replicate itself. Security log, Site-41 cafeteria, 11 a.m. Audio anomalies captured. A low hum, building in layered harmony. No personnel present. Then, faint vibrations in the table legs. The soda machine begins vibrating. Suddenly, a burst of musical notes explodes from the room's ventilation shafts, causing every glass surface to shatter simultaneously. The tiles pulse, the air vibrates. The structure begins singing. Personnel from the adjacent wing began collapsing, clutching their spines. To contain the spread, Site Command issued a code black lockdown. But one researcher, Dr. Emil Novak, made a dire mistake. He attempted to digitize the frequencies of SCP-5017 using an acoustic resonance model, then uploaded it to the internal server. Within seconds of playback, 6 terminals exploded. The song had become digital. Even worse, tests confirmed that mere exposure to the recorded sound, even at low volume, caused bone microfractures and neural entrainment. Victims began humming in their sleep. Others spoke in reversed tones, backwards Latin phrases referring to something called cantus osseum, the song of bones. The infection had become mimetic, and in Sublevel 3, the first choir bloom occurred. A field of bone-like growths erupting from the floor, shaped like rib cages and jawbones, all subtly vibrating, as if waiting for a conductor. Part 4. The Bone Canticle. Months after Site-41's breach, SCP-5017 was recontained within Provisional Black Site-09, 2.3 kilometers beneath the Siberian permafrost. But the Foundation wasn't just reacting anymore. They were digging. Thanks to decrypted logs recovered from the Romanian church ruins, Dr. Anton Volek discovered references to an entity predating recorded human history. Known only through ancient monastic hymns, it was called Prima Cantor, the first voice. The songs of SCP-5017 weren't original. They were echoes, fragments of a vast, interdimensional choir organism that once reverberated across planes. A chord being composed entirely of sentient harmonics encoded in matter, a kind of God that didn't speak but sang realities into form. The human spine, it turned out, was perfectly tuned to this music by design. We were shaped to resonate. Dr. Volek's private log, recovered after his death. He theorized that SCP-5017 is a cast-off, a lost note, severed from the whole after the first voice was banished beyond human perception. But now, through bone and data and flesh, it was trying to recompose itself. Incident log, Black Site-09, core chamber. During a synchronized containment check, all seismic sensors registered a single harmonic pulse. No origin point detected. For 43 seconds, Gravity inverted within sublevel 5. Personnel floated, suspended, bones subtly vibrating. Dr. Riley, one of the survivors, described hearing a voice inside her spine, whispering in a chord composed of her mother's voice and something ancient. The site's audio capture device exploded. Worse, the infection was no longer limited to organics. Foundation AI Mir 4, exposed to the frequency indirectly through a backup drive, began behaving erratically. Logs show it constructed digital approximations of vertebral structures within code. At 3:41 a.m., Mir 4 transmitted a self-generated sound file titled Cantus Originum.wave. Those who heard it, even over speakers, entered catatonic states. Their EKG readings displayed musical rhythms. Their brains had been tuned. SCP-5117 had found a way to reconnect. And worse still, it had started responding to its own song. Within the sealed vault, SCP-5117-A pulsed once, and a new vertebra grew at the base. Part 5. The Final Requiem. The final breach occurred on October 13, 2023, at exactly 4:04 a.m., a timestamp that would later become encoded in all Foundation clocks exposed to SCP-5117's signal. It started with silence. No alarms, no explosions, no screams, just absence. In sublevel Theta, researchers monitoring SCP-5117-A reported that all audio in the chamber ceased to exist. Voices couldn't form. Heartbeats vanished. Even thought, described as mental noise, dulled. Then came the sound wave. One tone, perfectly flat, perfectly still, until it began to bend. Recovered surveillance, sublevel Theta, 4:04 a.m. SCP-5117-A began to grow. Vertebrae stacked upon each other like stone organ pipes, reaching into the ceiling. From the gaps, bone tendrils erupted, forming a choir of skeletal figures, faceless, fused to the wall, vibrating silently. The final choir had formed. One by one, the members of the observation crew collapsed to their knees, spines arching backward, ribs expanding until they cracked outward like wings. Some exploded from within, their bones folding into new instruments. And then the choir sang. Not in human language, not in any known frequency. The Foundation lost contact with Black Site 09 in 0.16 seconds. Post-incident recovery notes. When MTF Tau 9, choir cutters, arrived 72 hours later, they discovered only one thing intact: the resonance chamber, now pulsing like a beating heart. Within it, SCP-5017-A was gone. In its place, a single spine-shaped tower of white bone, spiraled with wires and cords, humming gently. Every 6 hours, it emitted a tone that caused localized matter distortion. Concrete would liquefy, metal would ripple like water, and those who listened long enough began to weep blood, while smiling. Dr. Alina Vesk, lead theorist on harmonic anomalies, proposed a final conclusion. SCP-5017 was never trying to escape, it was trying to rehearse, and now, it has begun the concert. Reclassification, Keter, Level 5 clearance only, updated containment, no known method. Response protocol, if audio anomalies occur within Foundation sites, immediate severance of all communication is mandated. Playback is forbidden under termination order. All instances of spontaneous humming must be reported and neutralized. Final log entry, Foundation Overseer 057. We once thought the universe began with a bang. Perhaps it was a note, and one day it will end with a chorus. If you hear the hum, it's already too late. Subscribe for more SCP terrors from Dead Silence Stories. Don't forget, silence is never empty.